Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to just focus on this plant in front of you, and I want to share how I'm growing this NEPENTHES CLIPEATA. It's fairly rare in cultivation and very sadly rare in the wild. This is an AW clone U, just so you guys know where I got that from. I've had this for many years. It started very tiny. It was very slow to get going, and this last year it's basically taken off for me, so that's nice. I'm over on the cool side of the greenhouse, but I do grow this warm. It grows normally at an altitude of about 800 meters, I believe, and likes it quite snugly warm. So anyways, to start with, I just wanted to, the moss on the top was fairly new. I put that on this winter. I've just started growing moss on the warm side of the greenhouse. The cool side of the greenhouse is easy to grow the sphagnum moss because it's nice and cool, but I wanted to try growing it on the warm side as well, so we'll see how it does this summer, because the warm side in the summer is much drier, so it may not look as nice next fall. But anyways, the media for this plant is sphagnum moss and a whole lot of perlite. We want it to be very light and airy for this plant. What else can I tell you about it? I did melt some holes in the pot for extra drainage, and then you can see it's got a bit of tape on there. Depending on its water consumption, I actually tape it up if it's drying too fast, because as much as you want a well draining pot, if it's drying faster than you can water it, like every time it turns around it's dry, you want to re-tape up some of those holes. So I left some of the side holes open, but taped a few of the bottom holes. I just gave it a good drink of water, that's why it's dripping right now. And then I was hanging it as well, but for the winter time it has actually been sitting on the warm side. Temperatures for the nighttime low gets down to about 68 Fahrenheit. That's about 20 Celsius for this guy, and seems to be liking it. This new nice red leaf here is growing. Of course, the warm side is also the south side of the greenhouse, so it does get natural sunlight, but it's growing just under a shop light as well, with some cool white bulbs. Nothing expensive for any of these guys. The light for me doesn't matter because we're in a greenhouse and it's actually super bright anyways. It's cloudy today, but it's super bright normally anyways. So the light for this guy, it's sort of a medium light. I don't cook it in full sun, especially in the summertime. You can see it's got a nice bronze color for this leaf over the winter time. The foot candles for these lights are about 1,000 foot candles right under it. That is about 10,000 lux, depending on what scale you're going with. The latest picture it produced was very nice, and I found this winter the leaves actually got smaller compared to the bigger leaves of the summer. Summertime I had it nice and shaded, relative, right? You don't want to cook it, so I don't have the lights on in the wintertime, of course, so I didn't want it beating in the sun, so I shaded it a little bit more. But then over the winter it went back under lights, so you can see it made a small reduction in the leaf size, even though the picture size went up. And so it looks like it's kind of balancing out again. Maybe this is going to be considered like a leaf jump under the lights, because it did shrink a leaf, but of course the leaves still have to continue to get bigger. So beautiful new leaf. I love the dimple in it. Nice hairy little picture under there. You can see where the picture joins the leaf way back underneath. And the picture itself, this one is looking amazing. It's definitely the nicest picture I've had on it. Some creams and some reds. It's a very hairy plant. Now I'm going to call it a specimen, isn't very big. It's just bigger than a handful, but it's not tiny anymore, I guess. I think this is going to be a very good year for it. What else can I tell you about it? And the nice thing is I repotted it last year, 03-16. I repot my NEPENTHES every 2 years, so this guy is good for a full other 12 months, 13 months from now before I have to worry about repotting it again. So it's going to be it's already growing great, and it's going to be undisturbed for a year anyways in this little pot. I'm not a big fan of overpotting my NEPENTHES. This one's a 4-inch pot. I would put it into a square pot next time, because everything goes in square pots in my greenhouse nowadays. Some of these older pictures, I leave them on there because the bottom is still working its magic, even though the top looks kind of crappy. I don't cut the tops off normally, because then the water in here can evaporate faster, and that's the same for any NEPENTHES. And with these old ones like this, I pick a pitcher and about once a month I throw in an Osmocote pellet. And I never do it with the newest pitchers. I always do it with these old ones. This is a perfect example of something that I would fertilize with an Osmocote. And I don't do it, when I say once a month, but I've done it once a month for the past couple months, but before that it really didn't get anything at all. So hopefully this leaf jump and colors because of those pellets. And yeah, so I do let it dry out pretty good before I rewater it. And this is the first time I've taken it to the sink and literally like soaked it. I just wanted to kind of give it a good like polishing before you guys seen it, I guess. But with the vent holes in the side and stuff like that, I let it get quite dry. One way to tell is how you can basically weigh it with your hand. I can tell this is heavy and full of water. I wait till it's quite light. The moss is a good indicator as well. I water it just before the moss starts to kind of look peaked and dried out. But yeah, so if I had to really sum it up, we want to give it a light airy mix. Make sure that airy mix can dry out pretty easily with these extra holes in there. As I said, I taped up a few of the holes just to regulate my drying, but I made sure I was aware of how fast and how wet it was. I let it pretty much dry out beforehand. And by dry out, I don't mean bone dry. I mean like if I stick my finger and I can still feel a bit of moisture, but it's not dripping wet anymore. And it is quite light before I rewater it. Wintertime, I give it lights and as much sunlight as it can take. Summertime, I bring it back off the window a little bit because it's a south window, and bring it down a little bit so it's not quite so bright for the plant itself. I don't want to cook it. What else? Yeah, it's although it's slow, it's been relatively easy for me. It's gone through a couple repots now and doing quite well. When I first got it, it did limp along for a year or so, and then all of a sudden it just sort of took off for me. So anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you're looking for other Nepenthe videos, why don't you let me know in the comments below what you're thinking you'd like to know about, or what you want to see more one-on-one like this, and we'll see if we can make some of that happen. So anyways, bye for now, guys.